How to make art if you're not a nepo baby. 1. Make something good. 2. Put it on the internet. 3. Hope that some people notice, or hope that a lot of people notice. 5. Hope that someone with money notices. 6. Hope they give you money to make your thing. 7. Keep making stuff. But in all seriousness, trying to be a creative person for a living is like trying to slash your way through an overgrown jungle. There's not really any straightforward path, one-size-fits-all journey, clear corporate ladder to climb, or levels of certification to obtain. Unless, of course, you benefit from nepotism, then the path is laid out for you in silver spoons. Your dad will cast you in his movie, or your mom will introduce you to her modeling agents, and you're on your way to stardom, or at least a trendy young Hollywood party. Children of celebrities, or nepo babies for short, have never had such a bad rep. From questionable photography to downplaying their privilege, they fight tooth and nail to convince you that they've had to work just as hard, if not harder, than anyone else to escape the looming shadow of their parents' success.
I really do feel that once your foot is in the door, which you unfairly got in, then you have to work almost twice as hard and be twice as good.
A handful are the poster children for the underqualified and out of touch. We love to hate them because we're punching up. We don't have the money, connections, and privileges that they're seemingly blind to. Even before Nepo Baby was in every magazine headline, I've always been the type of person to search up a star, navigate to the early life section of their Wikipedia page, and find out that they went to the kind of high school that costs as much as a 4-year college. I've always felt this weird sort of satisfaction knowing that they couldn't possibly be successful by the virtue of their own merit. Of course, it had something to do with their parents, hyperlinked in blue, who could afford to spend thousands of dollars on their education, or the fact that Gwyneth Paltrow was their second cousin once removed. As someone who wants to be in the entertainment industry, it's discouraging to see that so many of the people who make it come from backgrounds that look nothing like mine. And the harsh reality is that in America, the greatest predictors of future success are informed by things you can't control, like socioeconomic status and race. If you're not rich and not white and think about this too much in your daily life, things seem bleak. So I'm trying to focus more on what I can control, my artistic practice. An artistic practice is sort of like the scientific method for creativity. At least that's what I think it is. It's a way for you to make sure that you're actually doing the thing you want to do. Make art, whether it's writing, painting, or pottery. One of the most well-known proponents of an artistic practice is Julia Cameron. She wrote a book called The Artist's Way, a guide to help people transform the way that they approach their art and creativity. She came up with the method to try to get out of her own creative rut as a writer, and it worked. So she began teaching workshops on creativity that helped artists and creative people from all sorts of backgrounds. The medium didn't matter. It was all about her method. She helped the creatively challenged blossom into working artists. One of my college professors was a huge fan of The Artist's Way and had us do a lot of exercises from it as a part of our homework. So a few weeks ago, when an all too familiar creative block started bubbling up in my brain, I decided to buy The Artist's Way. If it could turn curmudgeonly lawyers into prolific painters, perhaps it could turn me, a recent art school grad, into an artist. I've always had a hard time labeling myself with a term like artist. In my mind, real artists make art. They don't just spend a bunch of time thinking about it like I do. And even though I have made things like short films, I even have a hard time calling myself a filmmaker without inserting the word aspiring before it. In The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron says that kind of thinking comes from your censor with a capital C. Your censor, she says, keeps up a constant stream of subversive remarks that are often disguised as the truth. It's a nasty internal critic that tells you things like, your ideas suck and you're not creative. And the smarter you get, the smarter your censor gets. If you write one good play, it'll try to convince you that that's all there is. If you draw a sketch, it'll probably say something like, it's no Picasso. Julia Cameron has a few methods to evade the censor and begin your creative journey. The first is to write morning pages, which is basically journaling 3 pages of whatever the heck comes to your head in the morning. Because there is no wrong way to write the morning pages, the censor's opinion simply doesn't count. Another method to escape the censor's clutches is to turn all the negative things it says into affirmations. If it says you're untalented, you must combat it with the inverse and declare, I am talented. If it says you can't write, you must say, I am a brilliant and prolific writer. Full disclosure, I haven't actually finished this book yet, so I'm not some fully changed woman with creativity oozing out of my orifices yet. There's 12 chapters that you read over 12 weeks, but these initial tools have at least made me a bit more optimistic about my artistic future and have inspired me to write more, even if it's just a script for a YouTube video that doesn't really have a point like this one. Trigger warning, this is the part of the video where we get into hashtag YouTuber problems territory, which I am fully aware can be really annoying to hear about because being a YouTuber is like the one job where you can basically do anything you want. I am hesitant to talk about YouTuber problems to non-YouTubers because I'm a firm believer in complaining to the right audience, you know, like how you wouldn't complain about your kids to someone who is infertile. But you decided to watch me, so I guess you are the target audience. Anyway, like many YouTubers, I have experienced the B word, burnout. It's hard to tell when it starts and when it ends. It's a slow, well, burn. If you're anything like me, you convince yourself that there's no way you could possibly have it because you haven't even created enough to get to that point. But there isn't some magical number or threshold to pass that puts you over the edge. For me, it's like a fuzzy gray static has taken over the part of my brain where ideas and excitement to create them used to live. And no matter how many times I try to change the channel, the static persists. The worst part about being in this state of not creating is that I'm still constantly thinking about the fact that I should be creating. I'm still thinking about ideas, but those ideas are like seeds, and the static is like this poisonous gas that sucks the life out of them before they can even begin to grow. I try to fumigate the static with different tactics, exercise, reading self-help books, watching things that inspire me, and these strategies help a little bit, but I know the only way I can truly confront the static is to cut through it by making something, anything. That's why I'm making this video. I think one of the most simple but effective pieces of creative advice I've heard is make what you want to see. That's what I tried to keep top of mind when I started writing this video. There are many things I want to see, but I think a good place to start when practically responding to make what you want to see is to ask yourself, what do I already watch or read or listen to? The media you consume is pretty good at informing what you want to see and subsequently what you should make. After taking stock of what I consume, I recognize some common themes. 1, reality TV. 2, well-crafted coming-of-age narratives about 20-somethings trying to figure out their lives. 3, creative people I admire talking about how they make their work. Clearly this isn't a reality show. It is, however, a video featuring a 20-something who was trying to figure out her life and creative process. So I'm doing it, right? I'm making what I want to see. kind of. Radio host and producer Ira Glass has this great theory known as the taste gap. He says, nobody tells this to people who are beginners. I wish someone told me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple of years, you make stuff. It's just not that good. It's trying to be good. It has a lot of potential, but it's not. Your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer, and your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase. They quit. Most people I know who do interesting creative work went through years of this. We know our work doesn't have this special thing that we want it to have. We all go through this, and if you are just starting out or you are still in this phase, you gotta know it's normal, and the most important thing you can do is do a lot of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week you will finish one story. It is only by going through a volume of work that you will close that gap, and your work will be as good as your ambitions. And I took longer to figure out how to do this than anyone I've ever met. It's gonna take a while. It's normal to take a while. You've just gotta fight your way through. So when I said that I'm only kind of making what I want to see, it's because I haven't fully lived up to the standards of my oh so impeccably refined taste. And I have to be comfortable with that for a while, because the only way to get there is to continue creating.